Welcome back to Becoming Ultimate Masters. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. This one is going to be a wild ride. We're talking the nature of reality, consciousness, even out-of-body experiences, all based on this fascinating interview, Darius J Wright. He was on the Inspired Conversations podcast talking with John Nolan.
Yeah, and the thing about Darius, he's not just speculating. He claims to have had these incredible reality-shifting experiences firsthand.
And from a young age too, right?
Oh yeah, from a very young age, like 13 years old, he's already grasping complex systems like the Federal Reserve. Just incredible.
Yeah, the guy was clearly a prodigy, way ahead of the curve. So then at 16, bam, he has his first out-of-body experience.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And during this experience, he's taken outside of what he calls the construct by being named Celeste.
Hold on, the construct. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What's that all about?
So, according to Darius, Celeste showed him some incredible stuff, like the nature of time, the purpose of his soul, even the existence of multiple realms. And, get this, she gave him a choice. Stay in this other realm or come back to this one.
Wow, a choice on a soul level, that's intense. But if we all have this kind of choice, this deeper awareness, why don't we remember it? Why does it feel like we start from scratch in this life?
Well, that's where the idea of the veil of forgetfulness comes in. Darius believes that when we enter this realm, we essentially agree to forget our true nature.
So we're hitting the reset button. But why?
It's all about experiencing contrast, the ups and downs, the light and shadow. Imagine playing a video game, right? If you could access all the levels and cheat codes from the start, where's the challenge?
Right, there's no discovery.
Exactly. The veil allows us to really dive into the human experience, to learn and grow.
Okay, so we're playing the game on hard mode. I get it. But if we forget our true nature, how do we ever remember? Darius obviously regained some of his awareness. How did he do that?
He says it was through repeated out-of-body experiences he was able to kind of pierce that veil and start remembering.
So the more we push beyond our physical senses, the more we remember who we really are.
That seems to be the idea, yeah.
Fascinating. Now, Darius also talks about hell, which is really interesting. His take on it is very different from the traditional view.
Absolutely. He doesn't describe it as a fiery underworld or anything like that. It's more of a state of being out of alignment with love, basically.
So it's not about punishment. It's more like the natural consequence of our choices.
Right, and this connects to his belief that we are all gods in our true form, creators shaping reality through our will and intentions.
Yeah, the idea that we have this incredible power. What do you think about that?
It's a bold claim, no doubt, but it raises a lot of questions, too. If we're such powerful creators, why do we experience so much limitation? Why do we forget our true nature in the first place?
Right, good point.
Darius suggests that those limitations are inherent to this construct, this specific realm we're in. It's designed for a unique type of experience.
So if we're all mini-gods, what is this construct exactly? It sounds kind of sci-fi.
It does, doesn't it? He describes it as having a firmament, almost like a dome. And get this, he says what we perceive as space isn't actually vast emptiness. It's more like a series of dimensional portals.
Wait, portals? Like those things they use in movies to travel between dimensions.
Exactly. And he believes that even stars are not what we think. They're access points to other realms.
Whoa. Okay, that just blew my mind. So our understanding of astronomy, it's like looking at a map and only seeing the outlines of continents. There's so much more to it.
A perfect analogy. It makes you wonder what else we're missing. And then there's the question of these other beings Darius encountered.
Right. Okay, let's talk about those other beings. He mentioned some pretty wild stuff like greys, dragons, even beings resembling the Olympians from Greek mythology. Are these real, physical beings or something else?
Well, he doesn't go into specifics about their physical form. Instead, he emphasizes the diversity of consciousness, the different forms that life can take.
So they could be real in a sense that we just don't perceive them.
Potentially. He even suggests that some of these beings have been interacting with humanity for a long time, but in ways we may not understand.
It's mind-boggling. But why the secrecy then? Why wouldn't they just reveal themselves?
Darius believes that disclosure will happen, but it's being carefully orchestrated. Maybe to avoid panic or disruption.
So like a gradual reveal.
Exactly. He even says that the first beings officially revealed will probably look a lot like us, just to ease us into the idea.
Makes sense. But still, it makes you wonder what they might be afraid of. Or maybe what we might be afraid of.
It's a good question. Darius suggests there are forces at play that benefit from keeping humanity in a state of fear and separation. He talks about a shifting timeline leading towards mass awakening, but there are those who are trying to delay it.
Okay, a shifting timeline toward mass awakening. This is getting intense. But if this positive shift is coming, do our actions even matter? Are we just along for the ride?
That's a big question, and that's where personal responsibility comes in. Darius is adamant that our choices matter, even with a preordained timeline. We can't just sit back and wait for change. We have to actively participate in creating it.
So it's not just about knowing, it's about doing.
Exactly. It's about aligning with love, choosing actions that resonate with a higher frequency. That's how we contribute to a better future, both for ourselves and for everyone else.
Wow. That's heavy, but also incredibly empowering. Okay, this is a lot to process. I'm sure our listeners are buzzing with questions and ideas. But before we dive into those, let's take a quick break and come back to explore how we can actually apply these mind-blowing concepts to our daily lives.
I was especially fascinated by Darius's ideas about space travel. He doesn't see it as like blasting off into this vast emptiness.
Yeah, it's more like teleporting through these dimensional portals.
Yeah, that's it. And if what we think of as space is actually this network of realms, well, the possibilities are endless.
Right. It even makes those stories about ancient civilizations, interacting with extraterrestrials seem a bit more believable.
For sure. And speaking of ancient civilizations, Darius talks about accessing information in what he calls the halls of Amenti. It's an ancient Egyptian idea, a hidden chamber with records of advanced knowledge. He says he found information about these advanced organic technologies used for things like soul projection, even what some people today call med beds.
Wait, med beds.
Yeah.
What are those?
Well, imagine beds that can heal the body at a cellular level. It sounds like sci-fi, right?
It does. But are these real?
Well, we have to remember, this is information Darius claims to have accessed during his out-of-body experiences. He didn't bring back blueprints or anything.
Right, of course. But still, the idea that such technology might exist, whether in this realm or another, it's amazing.
Definitely. And Darius suggests that many of the technological advances we see today are actually rediscoveries of these ancient organic technologies.
Like, we're coming full circle, blending science and spirituality. Okay, but let's get back to those other beings he mentioned. Greys, dragons, even those Olympian-like beings. Are we talking about actual physical beings, or, are they symbolic?
It's hard to say for sure. Darius doesn't really go into specifics about their physicality. What he focuses on is the idea of consciousness, the idea that life can take so many forms, forms we can't even imagine.
So are they real in the way that we're real, or are they on a totally different level of reality?
That's tough to answer. I mean, think about it. Our physical senses are limited, right? We can only perceive a tiny part of the electromagnetic spectrum. What if these beings exist on frequencies or in dimensions that we just can't detect?
Like we're trying to watch a 3D movie without the glasses. We're not getting the full picture.
Exactly. And Darius believes some of these beings might have been around on Earth for ages, maybe even interacting with our ancestors, but in ways that are beyond our current understanding.
It's wild to think there might be other worlds coexisting with ours, and we're totally oblivious. But okay, if that's true, why all the secrecy? Why not just show themselves?
Well, Darius thinks that disclosure will happen eventually, but it's being handled carefully, to avoid panic or social upheaval.
So a slow, gradual reveal.
Yeah. He even suggests that the first beings to be officially revealed will probably look very human to make it easier for everyone to accept.
A soft launch. Okay, I get it. But it still makes you wonder what they might be afraid of. Or maybe what we might be afraid of.
Right. It's a question worth thinking about. And Darius suggests that there are forces at play that benefit from keeping humanity in this state of fear, keeping us divided. He talks about a shifting timeline, a shift toward mass awakening. But there are those who want to stop that from happening.
Shifting timeline. Mass awakening. This is heavy stuff. But if this positive change is already coming, do our individual actions even matter? Are we just along for the ride?
That's the key question, right? And here's where personal responsibility comes in. Darius is very clear that our choices matter, even with a preordained timeline.
So we're not just passengers. We have a role to play in this.
Absolutely. By focusing on our own spiritual growth, raising our own consciousness, choosing to align with love, we help move things in the right direction, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
So it's about taking action, not just waiting around. But what can we actually do to prepare for this awakening?
Well, Darius talks about a lot of different techniques and practices, things like out-of-body exploration, meditation, energy work, and conscious creation. All of these help us tap into our true potential.
So it's about exploring these tools, finding what resonates with us.
Exactly. And these aren't just like abstract ideas. They have real-world applications, by being more aware, by choosing to act from a place of love and compassion, we can transform our relationships, our work, our communities, everything.
Wow. So we're all being called to become conscious creators,
Yeah,
to help shape the future. It's a big responsibility, but also super inspiring.
it is. And who knows, maybe through our efforts, we'll rediscover some of those amazing technologies that Darius talks about, technologies that could heal and transform the world.
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. Okay, let's take a moment to reflect on all this and think about how these ideas are showing up in our own lives. We'll be back in a bit to wrap things up and talk about how you can continue to explore this on your own. It's wild to think about how much of what we experience as reality might actually be, shaped by our beliefs and expectations.
Yeah, that's one of the things Darius really emphasizes. The idea that our reality is a projection of our internal state. If we're living in fear and limitation, well, that's what we're going to see in the world around us.
So if we want to change our reality, we got to start by changing ourselves.
Exactly. And that's where the real work begins. It's not just about learning new information, it's about embodying it, integrating it into everything we do.
Right. It's one thing to understand the idea of being a God, a creator, but to actually live that way, that's a whole other level.
Absolutely. It's a process. We have to deprogram ourselves. Let go of those limiting beliefs and fears, reclaim our true power.
Easier said than done. Where do we even begin?
Well, Darius talks a lot about self-awareness, paying attention to our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions. By becoming more conscious of those patterns, we can start to change them.
So it's about taking responsibility for our inner world. We're not just victims, right? We have the power to create our own reality.
Exactly. And that can be both amazing and kind of scary. It means we have the power to change, but it also means owning up to the choices that got us here.
Right. It's like we're the artist and the canvas at the same time.
Yeah.
But what about all the stuff happening in the world right now, all the chaos and suffering? Can we really make a difference?
Darius believes we can. He says that as more and more people awaken, align with love, their combined energy, it creates this ripple effect. It influences the collective consciousness.
So like even small acts of kindness, they can have a big impact.
Absolutely. We're not isolated, we're all connected, part of this web of consciousness. And everything we do, everything we think, it sends out ripples.
Like the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
A tiny action can cause big changes.
Exactly. And that's why personal transformation is so important. By healing ourselves, raising our vibration, we're helping to heal the world around us.
I love that. It's a beautiful idea. But I'm sure some listeners are feeling a little overwhelmed right now. This is a lot to take in. What advice would you give someone who's just starting to explore these concepts?
I'd say be patient. There's no rush. This is a journey, and it unfolds in its own time. Start with what feels right to you. Read, listen to podcasts, connect with people who are on the same path, experiment, and most importantly, trust your gut. You have an inner wisdom that will guide you.
That's great advice. And you don't have to go it alone. You can find links to Darius J Wright's work in our show notes if you want to learn more.
And if you're ready to dive even deeper, maybe explore these ideas with a supportive community. Check out the coaching programs at www.ultimatemasters.org/coaching or send us a message on WhatsApp at +256 771 324
We're passionate about helping people awaken to their potential, create a better world, and we'd love for you to join us on this journey.
So as we wrap up, here's a question for you to ponder. What if everything you thought you knew about reality was just a tiny part of the story? What would be possible if you dared to question your beliefs, to explore the infinite potential within you?
Wow, that's a great question. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore the nature of reality for yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this mind-bending adventure. Please share this episode with anyone who might be ready to expand their awareness, step into their power.
And don't forget to check back daily for new episodes of Becoming Ultimate Masters, where we'll keep exploring the mysteries of the universe and the incredible potential we all have. Until next time, keep shining bright and spreading love.
Peace out.